Hello, my friends. My name is Raymond Giovanni. I wanted to make a video on socialism and the misconceptions there are about socialism. A lot of people say socialism is bad, and that's not true. Misuse of the applications of socialism is what's bad. People say, "Oh, Fidel Castro is a socialist." Fidel Castro is not a socialist. Fidel Castro was Fidel Castro is a dictator. Fidel Castro betrayed his country, the people who wanted a socialist revolution, that helped the people, and he betrayed them in many, many ways. We can make another video on that, on how he did that. He became worse than the dictator who was before him, Fulgencio Batista. But people say, "Oh, you're a socialist." And let me tell you something. The only reason societies work is because of some type of socialism. They work efficiently. Why is that? Okay, if you went to a public school, you're benefiting from socialism. If you went to a public library, if you use the services of the police, if you use the services of the fire department, if you have ever used a road, driven on a paved road, if you've ever stopped at a stoplight, you're using the benefits of socialism. If you have ever gotten paid for serving in the military, you are being paid by a benefit of socialism. Why? Because all those services are provided by people paying taxes, and those taxes are used to pay those services. If there was no form of socialism, if people, and I would choose to call it collectivism, you wouldn't have any of that. You would have to pave your own road from your school. Actually, you have to build your own school. You would have to train your own teacher, okay? Because you have to train the science teacher, the English teacher, the language teacher, the PE teacher, the social studies teacher, the history teacher. All those teachers, you would have to pay them yourself. Only you. And then so that your children can have an education. But society uses taxation to pay for those services so that we all can have the services, the education that we need. If you have ever, if you've ever the toll roads, that's a ripoff. That's an entire ripoff. I think that's unconstitutional because they're built with tax money and then you have to pay to use them. That's another video that we can get into. Now, here's the thing about the people who say, "Oh, the socialist people are crazy." It's like, no, you're referring to people who have used the term socialism for their own advantage, and they have tarnished it, and they're dictators. Okay, those are dictators. That's got nothing to do with socialism. Okay, so and here's the funny part: this politicians who get paid by a form of socialism, we pay taxes, we elect them democratically. That's a form of socialism. Okay, and now they get paid by a form of socialism, but they're against socialism. What a pile of hypocrites, right? But they want to use it as a bad word because they take dictators that call themselves socialists and they use them as a boogeyman to scare the people into thinking that socialism is bad. And then they say, "Oh, we want perfect capitalism," and perfect capitalism does not exist. Let me give you an example. There's people. They have all these people that the Republicans call the business owners and the corporations. They call them job providers, when the reality is that all these corporations are shipping their jobs overseas by the thousands, and a lot of them are hiding their profits in offshore tax havens like Ireland, the Cayman, the Turks and Caicos, and you name it, Switzerland, everywhere. they're supporting these people by calling them job creators. Say, no, we have to give them lower taxes because they're the one producing. The reality is that the companies that are hiring the people, okay, let's say you're an engineer and you went to school your whole life, okay, you used the roads, your parents used the roads, they used the electricity on the street lights, they used the fire department, the police department, they used the school, we society fed that engineer and that family since he was a kid. Okay, he made it to college. He went to college on student loans that we gave him. And then when we put all that money into making that engineer, he goes to work for IBM, yet IBM doesn't want to pay any taxes for using that engineer. He wants to pay that engineer, but they don't want to pay any taxes. They want a zero tax rate or a really low tax rate, like a 3%, 4%, 10%. When the engineer is paying 34%, probably if he's making 100. Okay? And not only that, in order to staff IBM, and I'm using that arbitrarily, in order to staff IBM uses, let's say, 20,000 employees. In order for those 20,000 humans to be educated, fed, clothed, and sheltered for 24 years, society had to pay a lot of taxes. Families have to pay a lot of taxes and a lot of effort to make those people available to IBM. Now tell me again, why is it that IBM does not want to return the favor? It's called greed. Don't be stupid. Socialism goes hand in hand with capitalism. Now, there has to be a balance, okay? You're not going to give everything away to people for nothing, you know? Eventually, you have to recover some of the money to keep operating. Now, there's a lot of people, I have friends who are on disability who are Republicans and they're against welfare. It's like, you don't actually want me to believe that, right? It's like, disability and Social Security disability is a form of welfare. People say, no, I paid into it. It's like, yes, but you didn't pay $1,300 a month into it, right? Okay, so if you worked 10 years, you got hurt. In those 10 years, you didn't pay $1,300 per month, right? And you multiply that by 12. Now, I'm going to say that's 14, about 15 grand a year. Okay, you did not pay $15,000 in Social Security every year, now did you? I didn't think so. Okay, now you multiply that by 10, that's $150,000. You didn't pay that, right? Well, that's what it cost 10 years for us. You paid a little fraction of that, a very little fraction of that. And not only that, people who are on disability, we have to take care of them medically. Okay, I have friends of mine who are, disabled veterans or whatever. Well, I was a veteran. Say, yes, and that means that taxpayers paid for your service. When you were employed by the United States Army or whatever, armed forces, you got a salary. If you got hurt, then we paid on top of that, we paid your medical care, which, by the way, we pay medical care, free medical care anyways, after you get out of the service, whether you're hurt or not. And then on top of that, if you get hurt, we take care of you, we give you a check, and we take care of you medically the rest of your life. That's welfare, okay? That's a form of socialism. If you are against socialism, then you need to go to whoever signs your check and say, I don't want my Social Security check anymore, and I don't want my military disability anymore because I'm against socialism. Because that is a form of socialism. Society is paying to take care of you. And I'm glad that system exists. Because, even with that system, we have a gazillion veterans out there who are homeless and they're not treated by the government. Because, again, the Republicans keep defunding every social program that there is. And on top of that, now they want, like saying, oh, we love Jesus Christ and all this stuff, and we love the fetus and the babies, we can't have abortions, yet they want to protect the fetus. As soon as the baby is out it comes out of the mother, and even because they don't want to pay for an abortion, even if the mother was raped. But let's say it was an unplanned pregnancy by a 17 or 18-year-old that has no skills to go out and get a job or anything like that. She's going to be condemned to a life of poverty. You know, she goes out there and she goes, applies for benefits for her baby and herself, so she can eat and have some type of health care for the baby, so he doesn't die from a toothache or whatever. You know, right away the Republicans say, no, that's welfare. We can't have that. Okay, you see, you can't have it both ways. You know, these people are not pro-family. These people are pro-hate. They hate everything. Okay. So when you hear the word socialism coming out of the Republicans saying that it's a bad, evil thing, think about this video and think about everything that socialism gives all of us, okay, and how it is needed for the survival of a society. There has to be a balance between effort, the individual effort, and the collective effort. Thank you very much.